And the way tax pool works, once you pass a resolution, you're going to be assigning authorized representatives to act on your behalf. Because movement of money within a city or a municipality can't be done waiting on 5 people to meet and make that decision. You have to have faith and confidence in the structure. Now, the way our funds work, it takes paperwork, 2 signatures to do anything. But once you set it up and you designate who your authorized reps are, they're going to be able to, like an ATM at their desk, move the money. But that doesn't mean they can move the money to a Tijuana account. It's going to be structured in a bank information sheet. Tells us who your banker is, where the money flows from. You're going to send us money to invest. That goes to State Street Bank in New York, the largest custodial bank in the country. And so all they can do is move the money from your bank to our bank for investment or bring it back for expenditures. So it's not like they're pulling money out of the air and going whatever direction they want to go. It's very structured. I've been at this, tax pool's been around since 1989, late 89, created by the state of Texas. They ran it themselves for several years, finally outsourced it because it was so large. Our funds today, close to $19 billion. And we have every size city you can think of. We have over 400, close to 500 cities. There's about 1,000 cities in the state. So we have about half of them. And that includes the city of Austin, that would include town of Little Elm, city of Frisco, city of Louisville, all the folks around here. And what they have is an investment policy that the council is ultimately in charge of all investments. It starts here. And they're the ones that are going to authorize how you're going to spend your money, where you want to spend it. So currently, you're using local bank. And in 1987, the Public Funds Investment Act was written to allow all public entities to invest, as Mayor indicated earlier tonight, a legal list of investments. And we use those same legal lists that you can do on your own. If the city wants to go out, get with a broker and go buy a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or whatever government bond they want to buy, they can do that. But people have found that's very cumbersome and they don't make the return they want to make. But back in '87, prior to that, people were looking around and said, well, I can read the newspaper. I know what the markets are. And for whatever reason, I don't understand, why there's a spread or why I'm getting this at the bank when I could get this if I could buy it on my own. Well, by 1989, after they created this Christmas wish list, as I call it, the smaller and mid-sized entities said, well, wait a minute, we're not a big enough player to go directly to the market. So there's a vehicle called Local Government Investment Pools that is an offshoot of SEC rules. We're not under the SEC guidelines. We are under our own purview. And the state adopted these. There are about 4 other competitors directly in my field. We are the largest. The next one to us is approximately $10 billion in assets, where we're 19. So we've been at this a while. I've never come across a situation where someone has a PIN number at the city level and the money was lost. It went evaporated.
And I don't think we're scared of him stealing that money.
No.
What I think is, if Little Elm did this, I think maybe 2 of our council members meet with Little Elm, see what their policy is, review what's similar to that, pick 1 or 2 of the guys that are in this fund, and look at what their policies are, and then try to clone ours off of theirs.
All the policies, we have samples and happy to share those. That's certainly a good idea to visit other cities and get their recommendations. I know there's a larger city, the Metroplex, that has percentages spelled out.
Is this similar to a lot of the policies that you?
I don't see them directly like this necessarily. I mean, the dollar amount to me seems very low because, of course, this is a smaller city too, but, you know,
You're both
as
cities.
you count, you know, if you're talking about debt service payments, February, money's rolled in by January 31st at the latest, and by February 15th, you have principal and interest. That's a big payment. That's going to be well over $10,000, I would think. And then you have an interest-only payment about August. So, you know, I'm not familiar with them written exactly like this, but you can certainly pull and request. Everybody is more than welcome to share. As it said, it's better to be a good copier than a poor, than a poor.
Based on your experience, do most cities designate one individual to make those investment decisions?
Sure, I mean, you're
Based
going
on
to
the investment policy they've approved?
you're going to have to name an investment officer, and that person is responsible for going to investment training and on a regular basis, meeting those guidelines. And then we're going to require and ask you to have up to 3 people authorized. You have to have a minimum of 2 because you can't do any paperwork. Because everything that starts this engine has to be signed off, and our resolution is going to ask that the mayor and city secretary sign those documents and list who those authorized people are. And once that's done, they will get a PIN number. Every transaction is going to be tagged to that individual.
I have a question. Does that chief officer have to be a council member or can it be an independent citizen?
It typically is going to be an employee of the city. It has to be somebody with the city. It doesn't make,
Is it typically a mayor,
Right, but we only have 5.
or is it normally a councilman?
it's typically either the mayor or your CFO, your finance officer. Same one.
We don't have one, yeah, I did too, yeah.
Yeah.
So in a larger city, there would be a CFO that's on the payroll, essentially making these decisions.
They're listed as the investment officer, so they rely on that person to keep them up to speed on all this.
But to address maybe Jamie's question a little differently, it could be an appointed person,
Yeah.
but are there certain credentials that have to be met?
But for control purposes, you can't name it, you couldn't name a citizen.
That's why I'm asking.
Well, I've never heard of that.
Okay,
30 years.
that's why I'm asking. I mean,
Yeah.
there's minimum
Yeah.
credentials.
But is there something that prevents it, like,
Not to my knowledge, I'm not aware.
that your, investment company has or anything?
No, but Liz,
I
think
said no,
think
not
it
aware of
out.
that.
What do you think the auditor would say if we said, we're gonna let somebody who's not on the council, that's not a municipal officer, that's not affiliated with the town, invest the town's money? What do you think the auditor would say? We would get annihilated in that audit. They would immediately say, are you insane? You cannot let somebody that's not even affiliated with the city. It's
If we have smaller school districts, for example, say the superintendent's going to be the investment officer, which they're not dealing with the daily business, then they're having to go to investment training and do all these things that pulls them away from their jobs. So usually it is,
So that is one of the requirements, right? The individual has to go through certain amount of
yes,
training.
yes. I believe if you're an investment officer, it's required 10 hours and then
It's eight after you've done the first round. Yeah.
So I recommend that we table this. We meet with similar
Brad, you don't make
cities.
recommendations, okay? This is up here, and right now we have a question. Dan, do you have a question?
My second point is going to be,
Taxes.
it's going to be that point. But, yeah, so I mean, so you may not be aware, but none of us really have a problem in tax pool of a company. I mean, everything that we've looked into, it seems legitimate. The only question I have for you when we get to that point is, I couldn't figure out the fees, I couldn't figure out the costs. There was nothing that was been given to me that I could find out. So when we get to that point, if you could share that information, that would be really good. And then, the other thing that you mentioned was that, 1987, right, banks can offer investments. So one of the things that we didn't see yet was what Point Bank offers. So they're currently our bank, we're currently there. You would think logically we'd be looking at it we're currently with, and then we would go outside as we need to or diversify or whatever it is. But there's a fundamental problem here, is that we've got all these budget problems, we've got all these money problems.
And you always come back to
So,
So let me fill you in, so you asked that question. Let me give you
I
an
just want to
answer.
be aware, that the reason people are questioning it is because we've got some structural problems that we want to correct. I don't think anybody's really questioning text pool, except maybe some specifics like in the fees and stuff.
So what you have to understand on, this is not a long-term investment where you're going to stick 50,000 or 500,000, whatever it is, in long-term, and you're worried about the safety and security of it. This is daily liquidity. It's like a passbook account, except it pays you money. It gives you, we're investing at the highest point in the market every day. And it may go down, so we don't tell you, put it in 6 months and you're going to get this. We can show you what we paid today or yesterday. It doesn't post till in the morning what we paid today, but you can see where it's been. Now, because we follow Fed funds rate, Chairman Yellen and the committee that meets, you hear about it all the time, where they're going to meet and they raise the Fed funds. We were at 0 to 0.25% just 2 years ago. And we were about to the 0. We were at 0.03. You know what it's like when you're
I think we were all
savings
there.
accounts at the bank, you're like, well, they're not giving me anything in my checking account, whatever. That's where we were.
Yeah.
But as the Fed funds have increased, you can go back and see we climb right with it because we're in the market every day. So today we're at 1.03% on the government fund and 1.30 on the prime funds. And you said there's two fees involved. It's stated in our newsletter. I have copies of that for you. I'll leave those with you so y'all can review those. And as Liz pointed out, she spoke to me at the TML conference this last week, had a good conversation. And yes, we have, it's 2 different size fees, but fees are taken off the top. You don't see those.
The 1.03 that you're quoting is net of fees.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So if we paid you 1.03% today, we had to make approximately 1.08 to net you 103. So you don't get a bill at the end of the month.
It's always net.
You never see that. But when you're dealing with a bank, for example, if they quote you 0.75 for a CD for the next 6 months, they don't tell you their fees.
Right, so let me tell you what our bank is offering. Okay, because Dan alluded to the fact that, we have point bank. Right now in our bank accounts, so at Tex Pool,
Yes.
it's 1.03. That's after all expenses. We realized 1.03. Our current bank accounts, through our 5-year agreement, pay us 0.29. 0.29 in our bank accounts. So all of our accounts pay the same. They're all the same. If we go to Point Bank and ask them to put in the money market account that they're paying 1.03, the U.S. Treasury bond rate, and we agree to put in more than 100,000 and up to $1 million, we got to put in a minimum of 100,000 at Point Bank. Then instead of getting 0.29 in their money market account, they will pay us 0.25.
Well, obviously,
It'll
we're not
go
talking-
down if
It's
we
not a
put
money
it
market account.
in a money market account.
We're confusing things here, right?
No, it is a money market.
Are you considering yourself a money market account?
No, we did not use the term money market.
Right, obviously. So this is, he's referring to a money market account in a bank. They also offer investment accounts. You're referring to what? What would you consider yourself?
You are money market. You're a
We're a
government
local government
fund.
investment pool.
Perfect. So it's 2 different things.
No, it's
So-
not. No, it's not.
They're similar in
identical
nature, but
different
they're
boards.
governed differently, and they have different fees to pay.
Right.
Right.
They have different structures.
Right. And as I kind of came to me recently in our discussion, there may be some concern that somehow you're replacing your bank with the pool. You're not.
We were initially told, we're going to close our bank accounts.
I mean, we don't let you write checks on the account, and we don't have safety deposit box, we don't have buildings. You know, so,
Okay, so I think what I want to do now is I want to get back to the investment policy, okay, the policy itself, which is how we go about investing. That's the policy. Whether or not the council believes that Tex Pool is an investment that we want to get into is the second question in the loop. The first question is, This is the investment policy. This is how we're going to go about doing what we do. Okay? So this is the control section. So Clint, if you could scroll down. All right, the investment reporting, this is kind of standard stuff. This is just every month. I think it's monthly. Each quarter. Okay, so each quarter, and this is straight out of the about the Public Funds Investment Act. This is really made, as you can tell from it, it's based upon people that have assets that go up and down. This is for people that own because book value isn't going to change. Book value is $1. So a lot of these things are things which they're not going to change month to month, which is fine. But this is just standard disclosure, so that's fine there. It talks about if the firm invests in anything other than pools or anything like that, the auditor's got to audit it. That's fine too. The auditor audits our investments anyway, so that's fine. Then there's the standard repealer, and I don't think there's anything, just the usual end of the ordinance. So this is the policies that we have in place. I think if you have, Clint, can you scroll up to the eligible? So here's the investment instruments. That didn't change. Basically, you can't own any securities individually. It's got to be, mutual funds, FDIC insurance, CDs, the usual suspects. So this didn't change in the past. So this is the investment policy, which lays out how we do what we do. Does anyone want to make any changes to it?
I guess the question I would have is, if we don't have an investment policy, can we stop the money moving for just a little bit so we can figure what's going on?
The money can't move right now until you set up how much money can go and which one and all that. So there is no money moving.
But the reason we're having an investment policy is so we can have investments. If we look at our accounts and we just say, hey guys, we've never had investments before, we want to stop everything until we can figure out what's going on with cash, we just table this and we can come back to it at a later date. Nothing to do with tax law, just to clarify that, I want to be, we're talking about our
I
policy.
won't take it personally.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all.
I don't see any reason to table this. We've talked about it now 3 times. So either we change it, make changes that you want, or we decide we're not going to have an investment policy in which the old one is still there. Okay, which I have more ability to do stuff under the old one than in this one. Okay, I have more flexibility in the old policy than I do in this one. So then the old policy then becomes valid. Or we adopt this one and we go on and now talk about what are the investments that now we're going to do.
Clint, do you think it's a good idea to review other cities'
What do you want to do?
policies and see if it's,
I think that work's already been done, to be honest.
do you know what cities we reviewed?
Now, to be honest, no, I have not reviewed other cities myself. But as Jerry said, right, it's pretty
Well, he recommended that it was a good idea that we look at other ones.
true, right? We could-
For moving this 1 month, to move this 1 month just to look at other cities, I don't see what the rush is on that.
So, for me, I mean, I think, kind of reiterate what Mark has been saying. It's the other document, to me, is where it's really going to be of interest of how much money we decide as a council to move. I mean, this is going on right now between 2-point bank accounts or 13-point bank accounts. It's just whether or not the town wants to take advantage of going to tax pool and earning more money on the reserve funds. So,
Which I
pressing
agree.
this tonight, we still, the financial officer cannot move anything to tax pool because we still don't have that other document in place.
Well, and I agree that this is a great idea. I agree that he probably should be the CFO on it and all that stuff. What I don't agree with is there's probably some language in some other cities that protects us as residents just on that. Obviously, we're gonna have to set someone in control. Obviously, we're gonna have to have the second person sign on. But if there's other language and other stuff that protects us as a city, I don't see why waiting 1 month, reviewing with Little Elm or some of the other cities that he said he could provide and all that stuff. What would be the fear of that? I mean, we're already talking about she's gonna do an analysis and all that stuff. So we're gonna be waiting on that. Why don't we table it for 1 month, do the other deal and see?
So the piece that Rita's working on is a sensitivity study, and that would help us make the decision in the resolution that we adopt on how we want, what kind of, I don't know, limits are correct, right, the distribution. On this piece, Yeah, I mean, I can understand and appreciate the comments. This is the third month that this has been talked about.
But it's changed every single month that we've gone through. So I'm
That's
just,
part of the process, is to change it to get to this point.
but now we've been educated from someone that there's other examples that we
Gary
can
would like
look
to
at.
speak. Gary, go ahead.
Is it okay if I speak?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First of all, appreciate your input, but we are the ones that make the decision. We hashed over all this stuff last week, almost verbatim, the same stuff. Basically, we never said we were closing a bank account. We said that we were going to keep basic funds in there. We were going to move the surplus somewhere else that would give us a higher yield. Now, I'm a college graduate. I'm not a brilliant person or anything like that, but hey, that's what happened, folks. These are the people that make the decisions. It seems like our council meeting, we're sitting here justifying what we do to people that aren't making decisions. What do you guys want to do?
Justifying things that people.
Excuse me,
We live
what,
here.
I think.
what do you guys want to do?
The council's supposed to represent
Vote for
us.
somebody.
They're supposed to represent us.
Trust me, I won't be running again.
Okay, so.
That's good.
Ed has the floor.
You're welcome.
Ed?
I'd like to make a motion
Step
that
down,
the
get
council
someone once
approve the investment policy as stated.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the investment policy. Do I have a second? Second, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, next up on the agenda is item number 4.
You made that motion.
Ed made the motion. All right, item number 4, consideration of a resolution authorizing participation in tax pool investment pools. So this is now, question is, do you want to make tax pool an authorized investment for us to invest in? Again, we still can't invest in it because there's no limits. But is this an option that you want to be a part of? That's the question.
So I didn't really rehash the same thing, so I'll just say it real fast. We've got some fundamental financial problems going on. We don't need to be making any changes here, guys. I would highly suggest, nothing against tax pool. I've seen nothing against tax pool that looks bad. I just haven't seen your rates and your fees and those types of things. But it looks legitimate, I don't see any problem. I just don't think we should be making any changes until we figure out what the heck is going on with the cash and the budgets. I think everybody needs to stop for a minute and figure things out.
Are you gonna point those out to us when we get to your item on the
The
agenda?
thing is, you would think that we would know what the problems are.
There's one
That's the
item.
scary part.
At the end,
All right, so the question here now is, what do we want to do as far as joining into tax pool? Do we want to be in tax pool or not? Now, just basically, there is no downside to joining tax pool. You don't have to put your money in.
Well, I would say that if there's an opportunity to earn over 110% more on our cash, that we should certainly participate.
And again, there's no harm with becoming a member.
This is simply the application.
This is an application that we send it to, what, the comptroller? Who approves this? Is it
Comptroller's office.
the comptroller? So the state of Texas has to approve our application before we can even join the pool.
Can you scroll that down?
So what we would do is we would decide who do we want to be the signers. Because right now, obviously, as the mayor, I signed our application to join tax pool. And it takes 2 signatures, so Linda is the second signature. I think these are the 4 signers that are on our bank accounts. These are the 4 that are currently authorized to transact. So these are the 4 names that we put down on the application, since they're the ones that are authorized to do the transaction. We can always change those. We can always change the.
And it takes a resolution to change the signatures.
Correct.
So
But, so these are the 4 current signers on our bank accounts. So that is the tax pool, application. So,
Is that what you want to do?
so that's,
Yeah, I just wanted to show the signers are the same as the bank.
yeah,
And
same
again,
signers.
if you've got other problems, we would stop for just and pause before you start making changes, guys.
All right, so what do you want to do? You want to move forward? Do you want to not move forward?
I'll make a motion that the council approve the application as portrayed on the screen.
Okay, I a motion to approve the application to text pool. Second?
I'll second.
Clint has the second. All those in favor? Opposed?
Just so we're clear why.
All right, next up, we have hearing. So one of the things we've talked about is authorizing expenditures for road repairs. So we have a separate fund that handles our road repairs, which has about $30,000 in it. And so what we're trying to do is, last year we did Melody Lane, and we're trying to now do, so we're trying to do patches to make the roads helpful, but we're not going to go overboard because we know that we're going to rip them out and put in concrete. So that's kind of what we want to do. We talked about it last month. There was some misinformation, I think, that got out, which was unfortunate. So what we decided to do is I decided to do some research. So there was some comments that 14 of the 17 patches had failed, and so there should be no more road repairs. That was what was said. So
Before we go any further, can we
so
see
let's
the-
Clint, could you roll the video?
No, could we see the thing that we're voting on?
All right, so what I did was I went around and I did videos. So now you get to see a video. Clint, you got it?
Maybe.
Let's see if it'll play. There's your machine.
So much for testing the mirror.
And just give it a second.
There we go.
Okay, so here we are on Melody Lane. We're going up the first patch. So number one, looks pretty good. I don't see any problems with patch number one. Now we're going to go up the hill. And here we are going to Melody Lane. It's the area where we typically have our biggest problem because the trucks are using their braking action. They have to brake the brakes to go down the hill. Second patch, looks all good. Looks all good. Perfect here. Now we have the full width patch, patch number 3. 3 and 4 both look good. Patch 4 looking good. On the right hand side of the road, we have patch number 5. There's patch 5 as we drive down this. No problems with patch number 5. Left hand side, patch 6. Patch 6, no problems here. Going up on number 7. Number 7 up here on the intersection of Melody and Stowe. 7 looks real good. 7 looks good. Next one up, we have number 8 on the opposite side of Stowe. So 8 looks pretty good. We got a little bit of a hole. We got a minor hole here, which other than that, looks pretty good. Going up on number 9. Number 9 looks pretty good. 9 looks good. And then you get to the far end, you got a little bit of spidering here on the far edge of number 9. Okay. Moving further down the road, we up here on number 10, full width patch. 10 looks real good. Problems with 10. Number 11 here on the left hand side. 11 looks good. No problems with 11. Coming up on 12. Number 12 is one of our big dips that we have on Melody Lane. So 12 is coming up here. 12 looks good. Absolutely no problem on 12.
I think you need to slow the camera down a little bit, guys.
Now we continue down the street. Then we have on patch number 13 on the left. So on the left edge, no problems with 13. Looks fine. 14 is another dip all the way across the street. This 14. 14 looks fine. No problem with 14. 14 looks good. Heading down Melody Lane. 14 is good. Coming up on number 15 on the right. We have number 15 on the right, and it is fine. 15, no problem with that. We've got a minor patch here, 16, where we put some asphalt down. That has no problem. 16 looks good. So far we've got a couple out of the 16 not a problem. Here comes number 17. 17 looks good here. We've got a little bit of spidering here on the edge of 16. I'm sorry, on 17. But there we go, the rest of the patch, 17 looks real good. 17 looks good here. Number 18 is our full width dip. We've got 18. 18 looks good. No problem on 18. Coming up on 19. 19 here on the right-hand side. 19 looks perfectly fine. No problems on 19. 20 is coming up ahead here is our big patch that we did in front of the house that Chipco's building. So most of 20 looks pretty good. We have a little bit of damage here as we expected in front of the driveway. We know that's from the trucks, that's from the cement trucks, the construction vehicles going around. But actually most of it is in really good shape. So that's number 20. Coming up on 21 is around the corner. We're coming up on 21.
I think you skipped one.
21 is the first patch we did over on Kerry Lane. So 21 is a rather long patch that we did here from Gary Schroeder's house. So this is 21. You can see the long patch here. It is perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with patch number 21. There's one more patch. We're not going to drive there. It's at the opposite end of Kerry. That patch is also another long one, much like Gary's patch here. And it is absolutely perfect out of the 22. So out of the 22, it looks like we've got maybe 3, maybe 4 that have a little bit of damage, but other than that, they all look pretty good.
So can you pull that back just about 3 to 4 seconds?
So,
It's someone who walks the roads, guys. What I was referring to, can you just wind that back just a little bit? I mean, just like 3 seconds, if you can get that with them up. Yeah, okay, so if you walk the roads, anybody walk? Okay, you see the grass growing through. You don't see it now because it ain't springtime. But in the springtime, there was grass growing through all those cracks that you see. Now, in a typical road, you have road and base and all that other stuff. There's no plants growing through them. So when Gary, you don't see any further Gary, no, there's nothing now, but if you go out there, you'll see the cracks where the plants grew through. So in the spring and the summertime, there was grass growing all the way through that. And that's the concern, is that if you truly put the base down, grass couldn't grow through it. Now, I'm not a road expert, okay?
Has anybody else seen grass?
No.
Where
So-
at? Where at?
well, I just, obviously, I don't.
Where?
Oh,
On Melody,
right from your house.
right in front of our house, we have it really bad. The road is here, but yet we have grass growing up here extra on killing weeds because it's growing in the street.
Yeah, sometimes we spray it, right?
But it's in the middle of a
It's in a
patch.
patch or it's in a street.
It's in the street, I mean.
Right, but it's,
And
so here's where we're at. This is why I took the video. This is, without a doubt, I've been here 15 years. This is by far, this is the best repair we have ever had in this city. Because they always rip us off. Because we're not big. We cannot, when we do a patch, they want to know how many miles we want to do. We can never get them to come back because we're too small. They always rip us off. This patch is the best I've ever seen. Out of 22 of these things, and that road was really had some issues. Basically, 18 of them are in great shape. They're drivable, they're smoother, they're in great shape. They did a nice job on this patch, really nice. The fact that they're going to come back and fix those little spidery areas is great. So,
Any other questions?
yeah, Danny?
I think most of you people know, I walk that road every day. There are, some of those patches are starting to fail. It's not, they're not failing now, but you